Life is full of so many different experiences, and it's up to us to determine what that experience looks like, right? But oftentimes I find that people don't know how to define what it is that they're looking to experience, right? We have people who are overly anxious on one side, we have people who are overly depressed on another side, and then we have people who fall in the middle who just kind of feel like they're in this like, ugh, stage, right? They don't know what they want. And they feel like anything and everything is unattainable or whatever it is, right? So I like to ask clients when they sit with me in a session, I like to ask them, what do you want to experience? And oftentimes I get very generic answers like, I just want to be happy. Well, happiness is fleeting, right? Happiness is a momentary emotion that you're like, that's what that is. That made me happy, right? Things can make you happy. Moments can make you happy. People can make you happy. Food can make you happy. Money, right? All of these things can influence your happiness in that moment. But as a whole, what is it that you want to experience, right? And I have people sit with this. And I give them this analogy. If you were stuck in the middle of the ocean with nothing and no one around you, what do you want to experience? The most common answer that I get is peace. Another one is joy, gratitude. Those are things that are internal, right? Those are things that it doesn't matter what's going on around you. It doesn't matter the noise, the circumstances, the whatever it is. Those things don't matter. The external environment that you're in doesn't have to influence the internal experience that you're having, right? So how do you create that? And that is sometimes the most challenging question to answer. And oftentimes when I'm working with women, I say, okay, we're going to use peace, right? How many women do you know? Heck, how many men too? But how many women do you know that they're like, oh, I just wish I could find peace, right? So how many times do you actually experience peace, but you don't realize it? I think that we get so desperate to like chase the dangling carrot in front of us that we forget to recognize what's in front of us. So I have a little activity for you to do right now. So I want you to look outside. Wherever you are, look outside. Whether it's through a window, whether you're actually outside, if you're in the car, if you're in your office, look outside. And I want you to just take a look and make a mental note of everything that is brown. Okay? Take a look, scan the yard, scan your surroundings, find things that are brown. Okay, you got that? What did you notice that was yellow? Probably not many things, right? You could probably do this like analog search in your brain really quick, and or now you see it, you're like, oh, well, that house is yellow. Oh, the grass is kind of yellow because it's dead, maybe. Or the sun is yellow, right? Things that we know are yellow. Or the dandelions are yellow. But that's not what our primary focus was on, because we were so busy searching for brown, right? So when experiences happen in our life, generally we get overwhelmed by the things that are going on that are affecting us negatively, right? Whether it's grief, whether it's overwhelm, work, relationships, whatever it is, right? Raising kids. The perception of what is going wrong in our life tends to take precedence over the positive experience that we desire to experience. right? So if I want to find peace, if you were to really think back over the past 24 hours, week, month, year, I bet that you could find moments, even if they were just moments, where you experienced peace. But sometimes that's difficult to do, because how do you define it? How do you define peace? Because if you can't define peace, how do you know when peace will fall in your lap, right? So when you look back on those moments, you're like, but Heather, I have no idea if I experienced peace or not, because I can't actually define what peace means, right? So this is where we go back to the ocean scenario. If I dropped you in the middle of the ocean and you could see the shore, right? You could see your friends, you could see your family, you could see your pets, you could see your home, you could see all of these external things that you believe bring you peace, right? Being with your kids, being with your partner, being at home, being at work, being with your friends, whatever it is. You believe that these things are what bring you peace, but those things, then you're giving those things the control to dictate your experiences. And I don't want you to have that. I want you to be able to be in control of your experiences. In here, right here, you get to determine your peace, right? Or whatever it is, your joy, your gratitude. They don't have to depend on other people or other things or other outside sources, right? So when we're in the middle of the ocean, we don't have a life vest, we don't have a boat, nothing. We are fighting like crazy to get to the shore because we're like, our people are there. Our family is there. Our friends are there. Our things are there. I just want to be safe. I want to get out of the storm that I'm in. But if you know anything about the ocean and you're out far enough, sometimes the harder you fight, the farther out you get pulled, or the farther parallel to the shore you get pulled. And sometimes the best thing that you can do is to stop fighting. Rest, breathe, reassess your surroundings, go, all right, let's make a plan. And as you're doing that, find that moment where you say, okay, even though I feel like the storm is raging around me, even though I feel like I'm lost and I can't fight anymore, in this moment, can I experience peace? Because I promise you can. Even in the depths of your fear, even in the depths of the storm, even in the depths of the chaos going on around you, when you can see what you so desperately desire and everything feels like, right? You can still have an internal peace. And it took me so long to realize that. I had a moment where my husband almost died. I was almost widowed before I was 35. And I remember praying to God and I said, if you are who you say you are, why aren't you doing something? Right? I needed someone to blame. I needed someone to be angry with, that I could justify the lack of peace and the chaos that I felt, right? And I remember God so quietly and lovingly saying, Heather, your husband is my son, and I love him more than you do. And in that moment, I fell to my knees and I wept. And I just felt this overwhelming peace of, I can't control what's going on with my husband right now. I can be with him. I can pray with him. I can trust what I can't see, what I can't experience, what I don't feel like I can experience, right? Knowing that whatever happens in this situation, Even though it doesn't feel okay, it will be okay. And in that moment, I experienced such an overwhelming peace that it is almost indescribable. And that can happen for you too. But the challenge is defining peace. I have my own definition of peace, right? And I don't want to give you my definition because I don't want to taint your thoughts of what peace means to you, or what gratitude means to you, or what pure bliss and joy means to you. Because those are for us to define of what we believe that we desire to experience, right? But I promise you that even in the depths of your storm, even in the darkest moments, your outside environment does not have to determine what you feel inside. So my challenge to you is to determine what you want to experience. How do you want to navigate life? And when, not if, when that experience happens, how will you know? How will you quiet the constantly looking for brown, aka bad things, and take time to notice the yellow, aka the good things, the peace, the joy, the gratitude, the whatever you desire to experience? How do you quiet the noise? How do you shut that down and stay in here and stay centered and remember your definition? Because it's not an if that experience will happen, it's a when. So this is where I go back to a little while ago when I said to think back 24 hours ago, a week ago, a month ago, a year ago. When you determine what you want to experience, can you find moments in your life where that actually happened? Can you find moments of peace, even if they were small, even if it was just sitting with your morning coffee, watching the sun come up while the house is still quiet? That's a moment of peace. For me, it is. Maybe it looks different to you, but finding what you desire to experience and learning to define it. Because if you don't ever define it, how can you attain something you don't know how to define? If I told you, man, that blubbery fungus was delicious, right? And you're like, blubbery fungus? What is a blubbery fungus? I have no idea what a blubbery fungus is. And I was like, well, it's got like that chewy texture and like, I don't know what it's called. So I start to describe it, right? Because I call it a blubbery fungus. And you're like, toe jam? No, it's not toe jam. And you start like rattling off things. No. So I start explaining. I start defining what this blubbery fungus is. And then all of a sudden you're like, mushrooms? And I'm like, yeah, the stuff that you like put in your soup. And like sometimes people put them on salads and they're so yummy, but that's what they're called. They're called mushrooms. Like, I love mushrooms, right? And they're like, oh, well, yeah. Or maybe you don't like mushrooms. I don't know. That's just what I came up with. But you had no idea what I was talking about. But I was like, but I want you to experience what I'm talking about. But you couldn't, because I couldn't define it. But then once I started defining it, you were like, oh, well, I've experienced that before. Duh. Right? I think it's important to do that with whatever it is that you desire to experience in your life. And it might not be an immediate definition. It might not be something that you're able to sit down and do right in this moment in the next 5 minutes. It might take you a week. It might take you a month to be like, man, what do I want to experience? How do I define what will go on internally when I experience said desire? So, all that said, I'm going to challenge you to that. Think of what you want to experience and try and put a definition, put meaning to that, so that when that experience falls in your lap, you go, oh, this is what Heather was talking about. This is that moment. And I can do it again and again and again until it's almost instinctual that you know, like, yep, that's peace. That's gratitude. That's joy and bliss. That's whatever it is that you want. And watch how much your life can change.